Hello, brilliant beauties. I am a little nervous about this one. I have a confession. So, we're going to start with this thought of, are you raising a warrior? The word warrior has been on my mind since last August when a friend of mine said, "You are such a warrior," after we moved from the city to the country. And it was really fun, actually. We bought swords and did this warrior photo shoot, and this whole theme emerged from the word warrior. And that word has been just tugging at the background in the background of my mind of, what is a warrior? What does that really mean? And I looked at warrior mindsets, warrior bodies and physique, and how they physiologically live, and warrior spirits. So think mind, body, spirit. And I came up with this definition of warrior, and it's one that I care that my daughter carries. I want her to be exuding this. So as I read this, I want to share, she is a warrior. She finds strength to persevere and endure despite overwhelming obstacles. She faces challenges with courage and determination. She is a woman who is called to lead in any and all spaces of her life. She's that person you can count on, because you know when times get tough, she'll step up. Many of us as women, that is what we do. That is a part of our femininity. She has the braveness to face the world with her femininity shining through. That means she doesn't have to put on the mask of masculinity. I've worn that for way too long, especially in working in high stakes, fast paced environments that were predominantly male, that I started to recognize in the stillness of the country, I don't have to wear that mask anymore, that I can lean into my femininity, and that I am enough. I, as a feminine energy, love that side of myself, and I want to bring that forth, and I want that for my daughter too. She has the integrity to stand up for what she believes in, and she possesses the inner power to take risks, to fail and try again, and most of all, and this, ladies, this is where, if we're being real honest, where we fall down. She has the inner power to succeed, because sometimes success is even scarier than failure. It's easy to fail. It's easy to let ourselves down and to let ourselves off the hook. It is really hard to stand tall in your courage and in your confidence and say, I am claiming this identity for myself. In this moment, I am claiming author. I am claiming course creator. I am creating community galvanizer. And that scares the pants off of me. It would be easy for me to wake up and brush through a day, one meeting after another, not caring too much about my career and my legacy and my soul's work. It takes a lot of warrior braveness to do that work. And I celebrate that. It's what I role model for my daughter with great intention. And my greatest prayer is that she discovers that for herself as well. So I want to talk a little bit about, in full confession, the mistake I made yesterday. So it was our first day of standardized testing. Those of you who know me know that we moved to the country. We knew we were downgrading our schools, moving from an IB blue ribbon school to Douglas County. However, I was not prepared for racism at the extent and level that it exists here, nor was I prepared for the depression, the suicide, just the cloud that hangs over the school that she was attending. And when I learned that it wasn't just one kid bullying her as I was coaching her through the challenges of her days, that it was 16 children who were telling her she should kill herself, asking her how she felt about the N-word, and then calling her that, I decided, you look back at I don't know what took over me, right? The Holy Spirit just took over me, and I grew that mama bear strength. And I said, I want you to look back at those doors, honey. You never have to walk into that building again. And that decision had some really bold consequences to it, in finding a new school that wasn't a million miles away and going to disrupt our lives, to being able to create a school where we educate in our home. Yesterday was our first time doing standardized testing in our home. Boy, I've administered a lot of standardized tests in 3 different states, 4 districts, 5 schools. And I will say nothing is quite as hard as doing it at home. I had to make sure that there's nothing in her environment that could be a resource to her, just like you would in the classroom. Yet to place words of encouragement, just like I would on my whiteboard or on the walls of the school or over the announcements. So framed up her day with chamomile tea, with a protein bar to nourish her body, with meditation. And I had mistakenly told her, I knew it was timed. I knew it opened at 9 a.m. Eastern. And we were up, ready, and logging in, and realized that you can't log in from a Lenovo. So we had a little bit of tech challenges that derailed us for about 30 minutes, but it was okay. The hardest tests of her day were yesterday. And to be quite honest, we didn't know how they would be allocating the tests, what subjects were going to be tested, all of that jazz. I didn't want to over worry her and pass on that great trait of worry that runs generationally in my family. And so I told her, you have as long as you need, but it does need to be done today. And then she's like, well, how long is that? And I said, well, I would guess maybe midnight would be the longest or latest you could run. And that's midnight Eastern, so 10 p.m. Mountain. And so we mistakenly just thought she had all day to ease through these exams. And a typical child would finish a test in maybe an hour, right? That's about what the state allocates. Giovanna's on an IEP, which stands for an individualized education plan. A lot of things take her a lot longer. Well, turns out yesterday her exam times took her about 3 times as long as the typical child. And woo, that was tough. We got to 3 p.m. and she took a brief break and we realized we couldn't log back in. And so I run to the help desk and all of a sudden call and recognize they're closed. And all of a sudden it hit me, wait, they're closed. That means no one's proctoring. That means the test is done. And she was only 16 out of 48 questions into her first math exam out of 2. So I felt like an epic fail as a mom. I had given her false information. I had made her think that she had plenty of time, and she didn't. And kids are quick to bounce back and be fast, right? But not me, I overdwell. And so it made me think about the 3 lives that describe the human condition, and that we can live caged in that moment of one bad choice that we made, one awful little bit of something that gave us mom guilt, comfortable, or like going through the motions one day at a time. Oh, well, it's just another day, no big deal. Or fully charged. How do we take ownership of the decisions of our lives and use them to set us up? I love the notion that a setback is actually a set up for the future. And I have a friend who reminded me of that. And that's a mantra that I carry. And seeing her reminder helped me think about, how could this be a setup? And I'd already told her this doesn't really matter. You know, she was worried that it's going to go on her resume. And I said, honey, no one's going to be looking at your 7th grade year for your resume. And I told her, you know, I have 4 degrees. All 3 of my graduate degrees are 4.0. Guess how many people care about that? Me and my mom, right? And so I told her there's nothing to worry about. So this charged life, I had to free myself out of the cage of mom guilt, get past the comfort of it's okay, no big deal, letting myself down, to charged and seizing that as an opportunity to set up for an even better day today. But let's go back to the actual moment in time. As the day ended, my day had been up and down, up and down, up and down. The juggle is real. I'm trying to be calm and manage my energy with her. And I have a wild and crazy day as well, and large scale goals and accountability metrics that I need to deliver on. So I thought about this habit of mind that went horribly wrong. So according to the research, there's 16 habits of mind that the world's most influential, successful, intelligent people exude. And Art Costa and Baina Kalik put out some of this research. Robert Marzano and Deborah Pickering have some parallel research on habits of mind. I'm going to be using Art Costa and Baina Kalik's words here: managing impulsivity. So I looked up, what is an impulse? So let me confess what we did. The day ended. I was exhausted. I was so darn tired of mental gymnastics, of juggling both. Be calm, be energized for your coaching clients. And then I had a 2 hour and 20-minute call with my own coach that set me into emotional overwhelm of as my mind caught into the impact of the business that I'm building. And that was a bit much, to be honest. It was heavy. I need to form a new identity for myself once again, right? The educator identity, becoming a school leader identity, founding an innovation school identity, leading an innovation grant statewide for the Department of Higher Ed and Department of Ed identity, getting into the fast-paced high-tech world identity, and now as an entrepreneur running a large-scale business identity. So every step of our career requires a new version of our identity. As moms, we have this happen too. We have ourselves before our child. I call it BG and AG. Before Gigi, I had an identity, and after Gigi, I became Gigi's mom, and that became my new identity. And so we have these identity moments that define us in pivot points in our lives. And in up-leveling my identity, I truly was exhausted by the end of the day. And then to try to solve this problem and recognize, holy Hannah, we did not finish. We got through not even 3/4 of the exam. If you include the practice, it was technically, we did all this math. We made it through 65% of what we needed to do yesterday. And we unpacked that lesson and talked about time and how to manage time and what do you do when you know you don't have enough time. And that's really difficult for a dyslexic learner. So it was a very sensitive heart talk. And those kinds of talks also leave me very exhausted. So what I did was, I know one of the things Gigi misses the most on our cancer journey is pizza, In-N-Out, and cake. Those three things made their way onto her wish list for Christmas. And so I said, how about we order Domino's? Now, a lot of people, the common thought, again, if we go back to the normal distribution curve, the comfortable thought is, that's okay, it's great to reward yourself with food, or it's a celebration, or it tastes good, right? Those are common thoughts. I've had to choose charged thoughts to combat challenged cells. Having a high growth, aggressive tumor growing in my body that could kill me made me rethink food in ways that I've always used food as a source of energy, food as fuel. As my career grew and I needed more time and hours in the day, I had learned how to use food to nourish. That food, what I eat after 2 p.m. affects my sleep. Quality of sleep affects my wake up. Quality of wake up affects my focus. I know that it's all interdependent and interconnected. And so here I am at the end of the day, impulsive thought, let's order pizza. That'll cheer her up. Impulsive action, hop online, type in your name and passcode, and off we go. Now, what happens as you have that impulsive action, more impulsive thoughts come. Those impulsive thoughts lead to more impulsive actions. This is what leads you into a comfortable or caged lifestyle. This right here that you see on the right-hand side is called a causal loop diagram. It's a systems thinking dynamic modeling archetype that I learned at MIT. And the plus indicates that that is increasing. It's actually, that should have an R in the center, meaning it's reinforcing. As thoughts increase, actions increase, thoughts increase. So it's actually increasing over time. And then as we continue to do that, we face negative consequences. So almost immediately after indulging in this, right, which let's mathematically, you know me, math science gal, I enjoyed maybe 20 minutes would be generous. I think I was so hungry by that point, it did not take me 20 minutes to eat a couple of pieces of cheesy bread. However, that is what I did. I feel so guilty about it. I could barely talk about it. My armpits are sweating. So I made that impulsive thought, impulsive action, devour that. And that led to more impulsive thought, have a sweet treat. So I had some frozen mango, more impulsive action, devour the frozen mango. And now my negative consequence was my belly felt like it was filled with a ton of bricks. And so I'm moving from feeling charged and energized and fully vibrant and excited to comfortable and now caged. I'm like, oh my gosh, where's the undo button? Now, if I continue this pattern day after day after day, I would be living how I did during COVID, in full disclosure. I had impulsive thoughts. I made it through one more day of parenting, professionalism, parenting and professionalism, back and forth, back and forth. The juggle is real. I had impulsive thought, let's have wine and cheese. Impulsive thought, let's go out for burger night. Impulsive thought, let's order takeout. And followed by impulsive action. Over time, that led me to gain 19 pounds that year. So there are cumulative negative consequences that come from our actions. However, on the bright side, the opposite is true. I can replace that with an intentional thought. So that negative choice, that one impulsive thought and impulsive action, the consequences of that for me were actually, I was tired earlier. I went to bed earlier. So that little delicious treat robbed me of a couple hours of my day. Then it had me up in the middle of the night with an upset stomach for 3 hours. So this is a question of, is it worth it? Right? Am I really embodying a warrior charged lifestyle? And then I woke up a little bit tired because I was up half the night. And now I hop on the scale every day, not to manage my weight from a beauty perspective, but to gauge inflammation and how food has affected me, right? Like our scale will go up when we're inflamed and bloated. And that bloating is your body's first indicator that you've caused harm. So my scale's up. I'm now feeling guilty of the harm that I've caused my body. Let me go back to the proper diagram, right? So that one impulsive thought and associated action, over time, the 2 hash marks on the right indicate a time delay, had major negative consequences in my life. So I want you to ask yourself, as you claim your health, as you take that empowered warrior stance in your life, are the thoughts that you carry actually the thoughts that serve you best? First thought, no. Second thought, maybe. Third thought, probably yes. That's what I've noticed about my thought patterns. The first one is never usually good. The second one is getting better. And the third is usually what I need to pay attention to. So yesterday's mistake was that I had that impulsive thought, order Domino's, impulsive action, devour 2 fat slices of cheesy bread. And the negative consequence for that 20-minute little bit of fun is that I had a bellyache. I lost 2 hours of my evening. I lost 3 hours of sleep. It set me back in my health, in inflammation. My thyroid had to go into overdrive to boost my immune system to fight the toxins of the foods that I put inside of me. The scale went up to show that indication of inflammation in my body. And I have been dragging all day today. So I ask you, friends, is that 20 minutes really worth it? And let's face it, it did not take me 20 minutes to devour that food. The same is true with alcohol. The same is true with any of the impulsive thoughts that you have. So what I want to invite you to think about is to be a star. When you have that impulsive thought, can you replace it with something more intentional? Stop and count to 10. That's not very hard to do. Take a deep breath, maybe go take a walk. That, if you can give yourself the gift of a walk, you won't want to do that bad thing again. Ask yourself, think, what is it that's causing these feelings? What do I really want? What I really wanted was a reprieve from making dinner. I wanted to bring Gigi joy, and I wanted to detach from the responsibilities of the day. So then I can act. What actions can I take to address and relieve those feelings? I could have chosen a more intentional action that would have led to intentional thoughts of me making decisions that I'm really proud of. And then over time, again, that time delay hash mark, I would be experiencing more positive outcomes today. The reason that this is the first day since December that I have not woken up before my alarm. That's how powerful our foods are, my friends. So I can reflect, was this a good solution? Heck no. What insights have I gained? What I think is best is often not. So with that, I want to leave you with a quote that comes from Marya Manns. The sign of intelligent people is their ability to control emotions by the application of reason. One of the pieces of advice I gave Gigi related to her testing was a lot of people, when they have a big goal or a stressor or an obstacle in their way, is they roll through the 87 emotions Brene Brown teaches, right? They spend a lot of time in them. And I said, I want you to acknowledge and be aware of those emotions. And then I want you to choose to move forward and execute anyway. So my question for you, are you using impulsive or intentional thoughts to guide your life? Number one. Number two, how can you move through emotion to execution faster? For us as women, we spend a lot of time in emotion. We've emoted since childhood. The games we played as kids were very emotional. We explored feelings. It's why we're excellent communicators of our feelings. And so let's use that as a strength to be aware of the emotions and move towards execution so that you're on a path to be extraordinary and live a charged life. Align your choices with the absolute best of you, not the worst of you. So that's the message of the day, my friends, and your young warrior needs you. With that, go out and shine your love and light into the world.